Hello everyone, and welcome to another counter build against Arch-Tempered Teostra. This time we're using a long shelling Gunlance. Let's go ahead and take a look at what I'm eating at the canteen. Notice I use a voucher. This time eating at the canteen is really important. We want to go ahead and eat for the Bombardier skill. Notice I'm using the bottom row of ingredients. You could do this for any of the ingredients types, well except for the luck ingredients, but there's attack ingredients, defense ingredients, and elemental resistance ingredients, right? Well, the bottom row is what's going to give you Bombardier. You have to eat at least 4 pieces, and you can see that Bombardier did proc. That's because I did use a voucher. Vouchers make sure when you use them, vouchers are going to guarantee that you get the feline food skill. And Bombardier is going to be really useful here because what it does is it's going to increase the damage of our shelling. Alright, for those of you who have never watched one of my counter builds before, if you're curious about where the build is, it's at the end of the video. We're going to talk about the build when we get to that. But first of all, we like to talk about, how to use this setup, right? And this is one of my favorite setups. It's become one of my favorite setups. It's a long shelling Gunlance. This is the King Gold Exploder. It's a rarity 6 Kulve Taroth weapon, so really anyone is able to unlock this weapon. Kulve Taroth has been out on the PC and it's been out on the consoles for a while now. There's really no reason why anyone shouldn't have it. Keep your eyes out on it. It's one of those blue weapons, right? Don't just throw it away. So you noticed with Arch-Tempered Teostra that we opened up using our Wyvern Fire, and now we're just going to go right into shelling. With Gunlances, if you really wanted to optimize your Gunlance, you would find a way to implement using the melee attacks into the build, and you would set the build up so that you're doing melee damage as well, like white sharpness, crit boost, affinity, all those things matter. Similar to a lance kind of. But what's so interesting about using a Gunlance is that you could alternatively focus only on the shelling, and when you do that, you're only interested in a few skills. You have magazine, that's going to give you capacity boost, the artillery skill, that's going to give you more damage on your shells, and mostly just those, right? Magazine and artillery. Those are going to give you most of your damage. In this case, we're also bringing the focus skill because it allows I'm using charged shelling. That's where you hold down the button that you would normally use to shell with, and you'll notice there's a little delay before the explosion comes out, but you get a bonus to damage when you do that, and it's most efficient to do that with the long shelling, right? If you're using normal shelling, normally normal shelling are for big combinations that include your melee attacks, whereas wide shelling is typically you're going to shell as fast as you can with the basic shelling. With the long Gunlance, like the one you see here, you hold down the shelling button and you see this big explosion, well, not a big explosion, but you see this delayed explosion come out of the end of the weapon. And that's primarily what we're doing. You can see we've already got a ton of damage on him. We already got one knockdown on him. And I've been cleverly using my temporal mantle and my rocksteady mantle. You also notice another thing I really like about this setup is we're just getting a ton of health back per shot. Yeah, I've been working with the long shelling for a while. If you're a fan of my YouTube channel, you've probably seen me use a setup like this before, but there is some tinkering I've been doing with it, something I'm really liking. With the augmentation, in the past, I would have 2 health regen augmentations and then a decoration slot. Well, because the build is already so good with the small decoration slots, I've actually discovered I prefer for the last augmentation to be an attack augmentation, and that's because it's really interesting. The way shelling works, ooh, I'm about to die here, look at my health. When you're this close to dying, you gotta play it cool. You gotta be careful. So I waited, I noticed that he turned toward my palico, I sheathed my weapon, and then I eat a max potion. You'll notice the max potion was set up on my radio menu. Oh, look at that. He just about attacked. It looked like he got interrupted. But yeah, the max potion is on my radial menu. I am recommending that now. I also have all the ingredients to craft more max potions, and that's on the radial menu as well. So I can eat max potions quickly, and I can craft more max potions. And look at this. The damage is so good, we've already got another knockdown, even though we're not KOing him. So this really is a very basic, uncomplicated build with good defense. You've got a shield. And just terrific damage and terrific healing. Look at that. That's the Wyvern Fire again. Teostra's angry. Actually, I didn't have to try and guard that. I have the earplugs on this build. Isn't that interesting? When you're building for shelling, building is so efficient that you can get earplugs onto the setup, and there's still room to max out your health and to be very defensive. So obviously, if you didn't want the earplugs, you could go for another skill. Maybe in this case, you would probably drop the Basilgu's helmet and take the Guild Cross helmet, and that would give you protection and a few more small decoration slots. So you could do something like that with this build, but let me go back to talking about the augmentations. I mentioned I have 2 health regen augmentations and an empty one that I used to give to the decoration slots, but I found out this really interesting, the way it works with a gunlance or sticky ammo on a heavy bow gun, anything that uses artillery. The way it works is typical attack buffs don't really improve your damage output. The only thing that seems to help is artillery. However, there is another thing that's really calculating your damage. That's the base damage of your weapon. So the amount of shelling damage you do is kind of dependent on your base damage, and that affects it a lot more. Similar to artillery, it affects it a lot more than just having an attack buff. So what I like to do for augmentations now with my King Gold Exploder is 2 levels of health regen and 1 attack, I'm saying that right, and 1 attack augmentation. You'll notice that along with Bombardier and artillery, I'm getting 100, just shy of 110 damage per shot. And so if you really wanted to try and use this for maybe like even a speedrun setup, you'd probably go double health, not double health regen, you'd go double attack augmentation on this, and then probably the last one would be a health regen, but I use it more defensively, so personally I go with 1 health regen, or two health regen, 1 attack. Yeah. A lot of names here to talk about, so it's always easy to mess them up. Both of my mantles are on cooldown, you'll notice, and when your mantles are on cooldown, you want to be careful not to die. You don't want to lose Bombardier. Bombardier is just giving you a lot of free damage, so you want to take it easy and just play behind your shield. Teostra does have one move that you're going to have the guard up decoration in order to block it, and that's his Supernova, his most dangerous hack. If you don't have the guard up decoration, you could always try to build the Uragan set. You're not going to have as good of a build as this one if you do that, but you could do that and you would still be okay. Alternatively, you could go with the guard up charm. That's also okay. It's just, once again, it's not going to be as good as the setup you see here. This setup in particular, this really takes advantage of all of your decorations. Right, there's another knockdown, really good. 109 damage per shot. You'll notice I only have 3 shells, and that's because I did not include the magazine decoration, because the truth is you don't really need it. You don't need the magazine decoration. I do have it on this, but I wanted to show you the build without magazine. But otherwise, yeah, you would want to use the magazine decoration for this skill capacity boost, and that would allow you to shoot 4 times before having to reload. Similar to the bow guns, the fewer times you have to reload throughout the fight, the more damage you're actually doing. Alright, here's another tricky moment. We're pretty close. I want to point out also, I do not have Fortify on this build, and I have not died. I have not triggered Fortify at all. So we're playing with no Fortify boost, nothing like that. Remember, you guys might have watched the Hammer counter build. I really took advantage of Fortify, and that's really only something you're going to do in single player. Well, in this case, kind of more like the Hunting Horn build I showed you previously, you can bring this into multiplayer and really rely on not dying. And man, he is aggressive. I have my Temporal Mantle back. By the time the Temporal Mantle is done, the Rocksteady Mantle will probably be ready as well. Yeah, I really do enjoy this build. Ooh, there's the Supernova. Oh right, I didn't even have to block it because I have the Temporal Mantle on. Really powerful. That has got to be one of the most powerful pieces of equipment in the game. Too bad it really doesn't last very long, does it? And that's good, because if it did, it would just make the game too easy, wouldn't it? Yeah, you really do have to have a short usage for gear like that and a long cooldown, and I think they did a fair job balancing that. I don't think that Temporal Mantle is going to be able to carry you through something like the Behemoth or an Arch-Tempered monster. They're still going to kill you if you don't know what you're doing. My Palico over there, he has the Bond Ball Palico weapon, and that allows him to put Teostra to sleep for me every now and then. I don't know if he does in this run. So Teostra is going to run off to the next area. You notice everything's going very smoothly for me. I got the Turf War with Arch-Tempered Kushala Daura. He's flying to the back pillar, which is what you always want because you're able to drop that on him. Unfortunately, I don't think I dropped it soon enough. Yeah, I didn't. If you drop it in time, it will actually cause him to be knocked down. That's because if Teostra's flying and the pillar falls on him, it's going to be an automatic knockdown. But we didn't do that. That's okay. We still got the damage. That's more important. That's more important than missing it entirely, right? So we got the damage, and here is a knockdown. And you'll notice I didn't go into any combinations there. That's because combinations, you know, the physical combinations for the long Gunlance, I feel like they're not that powerful. There's actually a chart, a very detailed chart that will show you the optimal, how do I say it, the optimal combinations to use with the Gunlance. I kind of pointed it out in my video, top 5 Gunlances. I brought up that chart, I believe, briefly, and it shows you the best combinations. For long Gunlances like this one, you're really just better off just focusing on charged shelling. Charged shelling and the Wyvern Fire is still good. Yep, I love the Wyvern Fire. It's one of the most fun aspects of using a Gunlance. So you'll notice he did try to get away there, and we flashed him out of the sky. That means when you're in this area, you should already kind of be suspecting that, oh, he might want to go to his nest at this point. You're not going to need your you're not going to need to shoot like stones or anything at him. So it's a fine time to equip the flash pods at this point in the fight. And then if he does try to go to his, if you see him limping, if he does try to go to his nest, you can go ahead and flash him out of the sky for an easy knockdown. I believe you can flash him 4 times. Could be wrong about that. Could be 3 times. All right, he's definitely going to get away here because I had to stop and eat. Is he? Yeah. Oh no, actually, look at that. Look at that. Flash pods are OP. Flash pods for the win. They're really powerful. Alright, just getting tons of damage out on him. 109 damage for every shot. That's really good. You know, another thing I really like about the long shelling Gunlances, I think they might be the longest range physical weapon in the game. If you count the actual shelling as part of your range, it's really ridiculous. You don't have to be that close to the monster. And I've got my Rocksteady mantle on this time, so I'm kind of ignoring his moves, and that's just because I know how much I heal per shot. It's really ridiculous. And there we go, we got another knockdown. So he can attack me as long as I can survive it, I can heal up from it. And that's without the magazine decoration, right? That's without complete output. That means if you do have... Oh, he's getting away now. Okay, he's really getting away now. Yeah, that means if you do have it, you're going to do even more damage. Alright, Rocksteady's over, taking it off. He's just going to go to his nest. The fight's basically over. I knocked him out of the sky twice. Pretty sure this is it, guys. We got our Mega Barrel Bombs. Do not forget to bring plenty of Mega Barrel Bombs and everything you need to craft more Mega Barrel Bombs anytime you go into an end game fight. It's really important. And here we go. We're going to get our Wyvern Fire. It just came back. We're going to blow him up. Very good. That was the easiest run I had against Arch-Tempered Teostra so far, so if you're really struggling, I highly recommend giving this build a try. This is the easiest one. It requires the least effort, the least understanding of his moveset. All you need to know how to do is charge your shells and guard. And here's the build. You'll notice we're able to fit both health boost and fire resistance onto the setup. I do skip out, I have a protection decoration down there rather than the magazine. Yeah, I'm showing you right now. I could put magazine on it. I just didn't because I'm showing you guys is a very legit build even if you don't have that decoration. But you do have to have the guard up decoration. You do have to have artillery, and I do recommend focus as well. Alright, I want to give a shout out to all of my supporters on Patreon. Also, we have a very active Discord server. You're welcome to join that. There's a link in the description of all my videos. The server's at about 3,000 people now. It's really active. So if you're trying to find people who want to fight Arch-Tempered Teostra with you, or if you're trying to find people who want to fight Kulve Taroth with you, go ahead and join that server. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.